Okay, so we've had a couple people on for draft season. I've had Jake Burns on, but one of the OGs in this space, an old head in this space, somebody who's been around for a while and been right more often than he's not been wrong, especially when you come about these trenches. You know who it is. The Volume's on. You can check him out on Vach Lombardi, youtube.com/Vach Lombardi. This is Vach. What's up, man? How you doing?
What up, QC? Shouts out to Jake Burns, man. But me and QC got a little bit of rapport, man. We got a little bit of time into this thing. We've been doing this 3 years, going on 4. Also, too, I would love for the chat box. I would love for the comment section. However y'all consuming this, because y'all please go down there and put some type of flames in there for my man's QC, because he's the best in the business doing this, talking Browns. You at like, what, 30,000 subs now?
Yeah, I think we approached 32 now.
In the good old days, we wasn't even up here like that. You know what I mean? In the good old days, we was down in the 7s and the 8s or whatever. You know what I mean? So just the growth over time, this man bring y'all the best Browns content. Clap it up for your guy. Flames in the chat for your guy. I ain't nothing. I'm just Vosh. That's QC. Hey, man. Just proud of you, brother. Proud of you. But we can talk some draft or whatever. You say I've been wrong a few times. I was wrong. And I was waiting on you to hit me up. I was wrong about Parsons. Okay, but I got reasons why I was wrong about Parsons. And since I'm petty and I don't forget shit, I got into a couple fights with some people in your comment section about Clowney. I was sort of semi wrong about Clowney. He actually did a little more than absolutely nothing on y'all team last year. So I was wrong about those two things. I'm not taking credit for nothing else.
It be like that sometimes, man. Look, I've had all kind of bad takes. I remember Lamar the year he won the MVP. I was telling people that Kyler Murray was better. So we all have those days.
Let's see, listen, QC. It's not bad takes. I was simply wrong. That's all it is. Like saying Michael Parsons wasn't like, because look, if you watch the tape, man, Memphis Michael Parsons and like Michael Parsons today, those are two different dudes.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a bad take because he was even drafted 12th overall. If everybody knew that Michael was going to be who Michael was, he'd have went 4. He'd have went 3. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't. He went 12. The Cowboys traded back and still got Michael Parsons. I wasn't the only one wrong, so it wasn't.
Michael Parsons was kind of like the Josh Allen of linebackers. Like he just got really good. Really fast.
Yep. And okay, so watch this. Since we're on your show, Vosh says this. Let's just kind of run this content a little bit. I haven't said this on your show before. I think it was the COVID camps, right? If you look at the guys that opted out of football, right, and just ask yourself, all right, Michael Parsons, Rashawn Slater, Penei Sewell, Jason Oweh, Adafe Oweh is his new name, Greg Rousseau, insert player. Your tape looks like this. You're opting out. What's more important to you, to go back to school and get ready for Michigan State, or to go to one of these COVID camps to prep to be an NFL football player? Jamar Chase was another one, and so which is more valuable to you, playing around with these other college kids, or actually learning how to pass rush, or learning how to pass block, or learning how to be a pro? That's why I think these guys that opted out and went to these what I call COVID camps, I think that's the reason why these dudes were more out the box ready than some of these other rookie kids. That's just my.
It's an interesting thought here, especially when you see Jamar Chase is how he exploded onto the scene. Like I don't know how much of that is like he just had the chemistry with Joe Burrow, but a lot
he
of
wasn't always that explosive. Penei Sewell didn't always have good feet. Greg Rousseau had no clue what he was doing. Jason Oweh had 0 sacks in college, and now he plays for the Ravens, and he's just racking them up over there. Pretty good rookie by him. It wasn't no accident that these COVID. Michael Parsons had six sacks in college, and you would assume that when you get to the pros, you get a little worse. He went to the pros and got 13. So there's no accident here. Something had to happen.
Yeah. It's some people. That's one of those hard things when you do evaluations too. It's like you can evaluate pretty well. A lot of people can like what their tape says, right? Mm-hmm. But the hardest thing is like, can this dude improve? Like that's a hard thing to judge.
That's fair. I don't know if you love football. I don't know if you're gonna grind every day. I have no clue. Which is why, and we're gonna get into this. Which is, and I've said this on your show before last year. Are you floor guy or are you ceiling guy? I at least know if you got a high floor, you can play right now. If you were Kayvon, I shouldn't be talking about Kayvon Thibodeau because I ain't got a first round pick. Just nobody in the first round should be talking about on this show. But like, if you one of these guys, so we'll just say Thibodeau, right? I know what you are now, but you're selling me on your ceiling on how much better you can be. You're not that right now. Kayvon Thibodeau is not the best pass rusher in the world right now. He got some technical things he got to work on, but once he works on those technical things, he could be great. I don't know if he feel like working on them. He might want to, make a rap album or something. I don't know. So that is the hard part, figuring out somebody's ceiling.
Yeah, well, it was Justin. Who was it? Ross? I forget. He ran like a 4.21. Went to the Bengals. John Ross. Yeah. Now he's like somewhere in the rotation for the Giants.
Well, see, that's different. That's just the Bengals drafting bad. I don't know why the hell they took John Ross. They got them. That's their business. That ain't got nothing to do. It ain't John Ross's fault that they drafted him inappropriately. Put all that expectation on him.
Oh man, then they take Jamar Chase after that, the next wide receiver.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, it just makes it look bad, even worse for him. All right, so let's get into some of this a little bit. A player that you're very familiar with, Amari Cooper. He's been on the Cowboys a couple years. Y'all don't know, Vaj is a big Cowboy fan. What kind of player are the Browns getting from Amari Cooper? What's he good at? And then especially what I really want to know is what's he not good at? Like, what positions do you really don't want to put him in to make sure that you get the best out of him?
I think he's one of the best route runners in the league. I actually have a video on my channel, on the Vash Lombardi channel. Cooper runs a slant 5 different ways, and he'll really set his slants up. He'll set his slants up with fades. He'll like just more than just like a head fake and a go. Like he'll boom, foul. He'll fee, foul. You know what I mean? And he's setting them up and so he's like a chess player, really smart player, really cerebral player, not really a diva type guy. So you ain't got to worry about no off the field type issues with him. But yeah, man, he's I just think, what happened in Dallas is that this is more of a Kellen Moore issue. He's our play caller or whatnot. I think sometimes he wanted to get so caught up in the flow of the offense. Well, he's not there, we're gonna go to you. He's not there, he's gonna go to you. But when we see some of these other offenses like San Francisco's offense, I don't care if Debo's not there, we're gonna manufacture a way to get the ball to Debo. What I didn't like about what Dallas did with Cooper is we just didn't manufacture ways to get the ball. You can force the ball to any player you want. We just simply did not do that. But Amari Cooper's a guy that's going to get open, flash open, and he's going to be open often. So I don't know what y'all call. Oh, yeah, y'all got – so is Watson playing? Y'all know Sean Watson going to be playing?
We don't know what the suspension status is, but we know we signed him.
So whoever the hell playing quarterback week 1, because we don't know. If that quarterback is a player that likes his receivers to flash wide the hell open, then that's what you get with Amari Cooper. He's a one-on-one beater, and there's also some film of him drawing coverages to get guys away from the opposite receiver. So I'm assuming y'all going to draft a guy at some point. This will be a good time to do it. So whoever that dude is and the other cast of characters on your wide receiver court, they will be flashing open a whole bunch because Amari Cooper will be, he'll be taking a lot of that pressure away. He gets hurt, but he doesn't miss games. You know what I mean? He's a tough dude. He goes out, toughs it out. He got this plantar fasciitis thing. So if you see his game kind of decline a little bit, it might be because he was kind of sort of playing hurt that time. But he doesn't miss games, so I guess that helps. But sometimes you got to ask yourself, are you better on the field or off the field? But I love Cooper. It didn't work in Dallas. I don't know. There's a lot of people saying that Amari Cooper isn't in Dallas anymore because of his whole COVID scandal. I don't care about his COVID scandal. He ain't got to get the vaccine thing if he wants to. That was just some weird things that was going on, with that. The front office didn't like how he handled it, and then he went and caught COVID in the middle of the season. It was just some weird stuff, and he missed like 3 games or something like that. So I don't know if they got rid of him because of that. I think that's a silly reason to get rid of him, but they said it was because of money and that he didn't fit the system. But Amari Cooper's a player that fits everybody's system. So I think y'all have a true, wide receiver 1.
Yeah, that's good to hear. That's good to hear, especially because like sometimes when you just look at the tape, you try to look at a guy, you have an idea, but nobody knows a player better than somebody like spent the last 2 years, like every week, kind of watching the dude, having an opinion on him, right?
Spent a long time with Amari Cooper, man. Like this offense was trash without him. Like back in that Linehan era, when we were just trying to do wide receiver by committee, and we said, hey man, we got to push out this first round pick to get some help. We got Amari Cooper. We went immediately from like 23 to like number 1, and every year like in yards and like scoring and shit, like it was like one of the number 1s or like top 5 teams, whatever. And I think a lot of that was because Cooper being a piece of what we did it kind of made this system of an offense. Okay, so if you dictate too much to one side, then we'll go to Gallup or CD at the time. It was like Randall Cobb before him. Or if you try to spread it out evenly to try to take pass away evenly, then we'll run the football. It just made for a really good formula. So y'all got players that can do that. So I hope that formula works out for y'all.
Definitely. All right, so let's kind of jump into the draft. This, what surprised me about this draft class when I was going into it? Mm-hmm. This seems like one of them draft classes. I think I saw you say this on Twitter too, where it's like, man, would you like to have multiple picks in the 20s and the 30s? Like that's really where you want to be in this draft class. I don't think you want. This isn't the year where you want to have it's always nice to have the first and the third pick, but it would feel kind of wasted here because the guy you would get first and third here ain't that much different than what you could get at like 23 or something like that, right? Yep. And one of the positions I think surprised me the most when I was looking at some of the Senior Bowl stuff was this interior defensive tackle class. I don't think it's necessarily super deep, but I do think there's a good amount of guys that, between 20 and 44 that you might be able to get your hands on that could be pretty good defensive tackles in this class. What do you think about this class?
About the class as a whole?
Yeah, about the class as a whole, and then who are some of your favorites?
Well, you're right. And I don't even think that it's just this class versus this class, right? What I think with the whole top and the whole middle and the end, I think is this class versus last year's class. So if you're a top 10 team, you going, all right, I got the 5th overall pick, so I want my player to do some shit that Micah Parsons did last year, or that Jamar Chase did last year. If you was a top 13 team last year and you didn't draft quarterback, like you didn't miss. Like it was almost impossible for you to miss, whether it be Jamar, Devontae Smith, Penei Sewell, Rashawn Slater, Kyle Pitts. It was hard for you to not come out on top if you was in the top 13. This year's class doesn't have that luxury, so what's going to end up happening is, how you look at it, this class versus last class, you're going to be at 7th overall, and you're going to draft some dude that you have questions about, because every player in the top 10 or so of this class, you got questions about. Top 11, top 12, you have are they a complete player, or are they a one-hit wonder? Are they an injury guy? Do they care about football? What happened to Stingley? Like, it's just a whole bunch of questions, just in terms of the top of the draft. But the middle and the end of the draft looks like the middle and the end of a draft to every other year. You see what I'm saying? So some of my favorite players in this draft are going to be available for my Cowboys at 24th overall. But I have questions about some of the guys up, like let's just say Kayvon Thibodeau, Jermaine Johnson, Travon Walker. Those guys come with a lot of questions. You didn't have this much production, Walker. You're on the best defense in the whole country, Travon Walker. So why are you XYZ? Why is this? Why didn't you show this on film? But then he goes out and does athletic things at the combine, and his combine stock goes up. And now Travon Walker's the guy that we're talking about that could go first overall, when Aiden Hutchinson was the more productive guy. There's a lot of questions up there. Me sitting at 24, ain't no questions about Tyler Linderbaum or Kenyon Green. I don't think Jordan Davis is going to make it there, but if Jordan Davis make it to 24, ain't no questions about him. Nakobe Dean, I mean, he may be a little small, but he can play football, and I'm drafting at 24. So there's no pressure that this player needs to be a knock it out the park guy. He just needs to be some type of contributor. So that's why I think, where if you're a top 10 team, they're really kind of missing. The Browns ain't really got this problem neither. But y'all's first pick is 44, I believe.
Yeah, 44.
I pull up. Y'all's first pick is sure. So 44 is a sweet spot where you can find some good players, and then you got to rely on the other teams suck at drafting type of conversation, right? So what's going to happen is one of these players that you have ranked as the 30th best guy or the 20-something best guy, they're going to end up falling to your 40, and then quarterbacks are going to go also. So they're going to fall to your 40. So if you're just looking at D-line in your spot, I mean, there's a lot of guys you can go with. Travis Jones from UConn is a guy that I like. Logan Hall from Houston is a guy that is a guy that I like. Perrion Winfrey, guys like I said Logan Hall already. Yeah, so like if you're looking for just interior D-line help around that area, it's guys there. It's guys all up and down this draft. And the beauty of it is that you really don't know where they're gonna go. You said this because Travis Jones could go 28, could go 35, could go 45. Could go 56, could go third round. We have no clue. He's probably not going to go third round. But a player that you feel really good about should be there for you.
Yeah. It's just one of those interesting classes where it's kind of just hard because we don't know what they're going to do with the quarterback situation, right? Because none of these quarterbacks you would think like this is not a 5 quarterback first round.
No,
But you're hearing stuff that's making it seem like some GMs are about to go 5 quarterback first round because they're about to gamble on like a Desmond Ritter or a Matt Corral. We know Malik Willis is probably going to go in the first round, but like, can he pick it at 6? That happens, then this whole thing's going to
what's so weird about it though is how much quarterback became a priority in free agency. Because I would imagine that the teams that need quarterback that they would just kind of like chill and just draft a guy. But like Marcus Mariota was important, like Carson Wentz was important, like Mitch was important this offseason. Matt Ryan got a job, you know what I mean? So it's just interesting that some of these teams would just go the route of a veteran player. Jameis got some money, I think, that they would go the route of a veteran player as opposed to just drafting. I just think that's interesting. It just says what they say about this draft class, which that's why I tell just anybody, hey man, like I know there's a certain philosophy you might live by, but if you like a player, don't get cute. Don't just try to jump around in drafts just to go. Like if you like a player and that player is there, take that player. So when all y'all on the board and Justin Fields is there or Mac Jones is there and you're questioning, should we just take a chance on next year's quarterback class or the year after that? Because there's some people that I'm hearing talking about that. Oh, we'll just wait on Bryce and CJ coming out next year. That's cool, but Bryce and CJ might be trash. We don't know what's going to happen between this year and next year. We all thought Sam Howell was going to be great until shit happens. Or Matt
Spencer Rattler was going to be in the
Spencer Rattler was one of them conversations. You don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just all about if you see the guy that you like, don't get cute. Don't try to get extra picks. Just if you see a guy that you like, get your guy. The damn Giants traded away from Rashawn Slater and ended up with Kadarius Toney just so they can be in this top 10 this year to look for an offensive lineman that ain't as good as Rashawn Slater. So, hey, man, don't get cute, man. Just get your guys and move on.
And Mo pick, as a Browns fan, I know this. Mo picks don't mean nothing if you can't make good ones.
If you end up with like David and Njoku and Jabril Peppers with your first round picks, it don't mean nothing, right?
Yeah, with TJ Watts right there the whole time. Deshaun Watson was there too. But
I hear that look, I hear the whole TJ Watt conversation from Cowboy fans all the time. I'm like, Vash, you can't say the Cowboys good at drafting. We suck at drafting. We didn't get TJ Watt. 25 teams didn't get TJ Watt. I ain't trying that shit.
Have you heard the players that went before him too? The edge rushers? It's like what? Tag McKinley? There's some dudes I have never heard of outside of like that draft season. I'm like, oh wow, I forgot all about him. That went before him. It's just
like some dude named Phil Davis or some shit. Some dude from Missouri went before. It was just bad. But TJ, shout out to TJ Watt, man.
Yeah, it's just
we learn our lesson.
It was bad. Well, Derek Barnett too, right? Everybody was on Derek Barnett before TJ Watt. Everybody, the polish and everything else coming out of Tennessee. Hey, he's been pretty like normal coming out.
I'm not gonna sit up here and pretend like I knew TJ Watt was going to be one of them guys. I ain't really. I mean, I felt like he was a fine player, but I didn't think he was going to be the dude that he is. He's another guy that that worked on it. We didn't know that TJ Watt was going to go out here and work. Max Crosby was another one of these guys that kind of fell in the draft, and then he worked on his craft, and he ended up better. It don't always work out that way. Everybody watch right now. Stop beating yourself up because you miss on these players, man. You're not in control of what they do. Grow up. Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah. But definitely, let's talk a little bit about wide receivers too, because that's been like the marquee position, I guess, of this draft class, and what this draft class, if it pans out to be what everybody thinks it is going to ultimately be remembered for. Kind of like the 2014 draft class. This is wide receivers all over the place. I mean, there's a ton of dudes who run sub 4.4 in this draft class. Dudes might go like in the third round. With actual production that runs sub 4.4. So, what's your thoughts on this draft class? Do you think it's going to live up to the hype? And again, in that second crop of wide receivers who might be available there at 44 or at 78 or 99 for the Browns, who do you like there that could be available for them?
It's a good class. And it's plenty of them. And what I like about this class, it's a very flavor of ice cream type type class. Just whatever your favorite thing is, you can go get that. So you can get a Garrett Wilson, who's your route runner. You can get a Drake London, who's your size guy. You can get a Jameson Williams, your downfield explosive, turn nothing into something kind of guy. Traylon Burks, your traditional yak dude. Put him in the backfield, run jet sweep guys. He does some 50-50 ball things down the field. They're not in your range. Jahan Dotson might be in your range. And I think he's a player. Y'all might not draft him because he's very similar to Cooper. So I don't know what y'all long-term plan for Cooper is. He's not like Cooper. Because Cooper is he was a 4th overall pick. So he's a route runner. Plus he's fast, he big as hell, he catch, he does all this. Jahan Dotson is like, so when I say he's like Cooper, he's a route runner like Amari Cooper. He's that just like Garrett Wilson's a route runner like Amari Cooper, but they do different things as players. Jahan Dotson is probably going to be like a second option, like wide receiver 2 for your flanker type of guy. Not even a flanker type of guy, because I wouldn't even want him on the line of scrimmage, like dealing with people. But like if he's off the line of scrimmage, if he's playing slot or something, he's a guy that could be great for you. Christian Watson is great value. Drake London, he's another, but he's not exactly like great Drake London because he runs better than Drake London. But he's a guy that doesn't have the polish that Drake has, or the nuance, or the wide receiver things that Drake is really good at, the route running. But his big ass can go out there and run. He's like 6'5", pretty good size, whatever. And he runs he went out there and ran like a 4.4 or something, 4.3. Yeah. Super fast for like 6'4", 210. George Pickens is kind of like your dark horse kind of guy this year, from Georgia. He's a guy to where he only got like 4 games to really evaluate. He had some injury things, sat out here. You might have to go back 2 years to watch some film, but the draft community is looking at George Pickens like he's one of the top guys. He's my wide receiver 5 this year. But he hasn't done it as much as these other guys. Like I said, he only got a handful of plays, but if you're grading based only on the flashes that you see, only on these spurts here and there, like if George Pickens ends up in like Kansas City or Green Bay or something like that, he could be the best receiver from this class. And I think that's the right answer for a lot of these guys. It really depends on where you go. So I even think that whoever ends up with Watson or whatever, Deshaun Watson, I think that I think him being the quarterback he is can help one of these wide receivers along, who may not be better than the other guy, but you're playing with a decent quarterback. So, Traylon Burks with the Browns would be different than Traylon Burks with the Jags or something, or the Jets. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Just some more guys like Sky Moore, fantastic player, slot receiver, crafty, yak. And you would think because he's a smaller guy that he's like 5'11", 5'10", something like that. You would think that he's not a yak guy, but like it's hard to tackle that dude. You know what I mean? Great route runner, love him to pieces. John Mechie's like a dark horse or whatever. Pretty good player from Alabama, probably would have been a 3rd round pick regardless, but he got injured. So him being injured can drop him down the board a little bit more. So there's a lot of people that don't like to watch 4th rounds, like day 3 in the draft, but 4th round is like one of the best rounds because that's where the talents that could be day 1 and 2 talents, but they have injuries, they got arrested, they beat up a teacher, robbed a bank or something, they got caught with some cocaine at the border, whatever reason, character guy, they may not love football, they may have ran a bad 40. Those players go in the so 4th round is like round 1 for damaged guys. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So John Mechie may be a guy that'll go at the top of the 4th round because he was a 3rd rounder anyway, relatively, and he tore his ACL. Or he got injured. I don't know the exact. It's probably ACL injury, but sure. But John Mechie's a guy that if he's not like your number 1 option, in which in your case he won't be. If he's not your number 1 option, he just gets to be a complimentary guy. He could play slot sometimes, and John Mechie could be a good steal for you in the 4th round. So y'all got options this year, man. Y'all got options.
All right, Voch, before we get you out of here, I got to ask you this.
Yes, sir.
I want one player that you feel like is being slept on in the wider draft community, right? That you're high on, that everybody else might be a little bit more timid about. And I want one player that you feel like everybody high on, that you don't really understand why everybody that high on. Is there?
Do you have a round preference, sir? Because you love to do this to me. You love to put me on spot, put me on camera, and then you just roll that footage back 6 months later when shit go bad.
I don't do that to you.
That's a lot. That's a lot. And you like to... Then you break these shows down in like 3rds and 4ths and shit. You so the exact 10-minute clip of me roasting somebody, you got it good to go. So my player that I think is a bit slept on is Nakobe Dean. So we'll just start with him. And I feel like he's like, if you look at the mock drafts, he's going in the 30s or he's not even making the first round or something like that. And I just think that is sick. They're not drafting him or they're not mocking him that high because he's a linebacker and he's a little smaller. But when I look at Nakobe Dean's film, everybody watching this right now, you're watching this live premiere, however QC is going to roll this out, whether you're watching this on demand, go in the chat box, go in the comment section. I would love for y'all to respond to this and just kind of ask yourself, does Nakobe Dean, and we could just run down from the rooter to the tutor, does Nakobe Dean have better film than like Kayvon Thibodeau? And I'd be like, yep. Does he have better film than a guy like Jermaine Johnson? Sure. Does he have film better than like Boye Mafe or something? Does he have better film than, XYZ? Like pick a guy. And there's probably 5 guys that got better or as good film as Nakobe Dean. 5. And that's freshman Stingley, like Linderbaum, Jordan Davis, Aiden Hutchinson, and it might be and like Sauce Gardner. They got film that's on par with Stingley. Nobody else got film as good as Derek Stingley. But he's dropping in the mocks because he's a linebacker. But Vach, he's small. But listener, he played in the SEC with all big people. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. In a championship game versus Alabama, all big people. Like he's done this. He does this mental process. But Vach, he doesn't run fast. He fast on film. He sniffs out these complex misdirection plays on film. There's this one play I showed in my film session, right? I don't know. It was like Florida, or like Kentucky or something. But they was running some weird play. The backside offensive lineman pulled one way. The quarterback ran away. They faked a reverse this way, but it was really a screen the other way. And all the Georgia kids ran the way that the fake was going. You want to know the only one that ran to the football? Nakobe Dean. You'll see guys like Quay Walker who might get drafted higher than him just because he's 6'5", 6'4", however big Quay Walker is. You see guys like Quay Walker who will get drafted high, or like Channing Tindall, these other Georgia linebackers that get drafted high. Nakobe Dean sees the play so fast, he got to fight around them. He's running into them to get to the play, and he cusses them out at the end of the play. Leadership. But that dude's falling 30 or something because of position value, because of size or some weird little draft metrics or analytics or something, when you should just watch the film. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think was that the national championship game? I think he yelled at like Quay Walker during like a red zone drop, and then like Quay got back and made the right play in the next set.
He does it all the time. Like he's always running into people and cussing people out when they're not doing the right thing. I want that little. Can I say MF on your show?
You can't say the whole MF, but you can
I want that little character. I want that little character leading on my. I don't want Demons. I want that little character to lead the show on my defense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And a player that I think is a bit overrated. I kind of said his name already through my frustration. Is Jermaine Johnson. When I watch film on Jermaine, and let me just preface this, put this in your clips, QC. I don't think Jermaine Johnson's a bad player. I don't think Jermaine Johnson is going to get to the league and suck. You can be a second-round player and be good. Not that I'm saying he's a second-round player, but you can be a third-round player and be good. But Jermaine Johnson, when I watch his film, I see a player that's not refined. I see a player that doesn't have nuance. He's not a very polished player. He doesn't have a rush plan. He likes to run down the middle of people. You know what I mean? He likes to just kind of bull rush his way to the top, round and around. But that's not always going to work when you get to the National Football League. You know, what I really like about Aiden Hutchinson and George Karlaftis, guys like that, you see them rush with a plan. You see them using hands. You see them, oh, then when you get here, I'm over the top and boom. I don't really see that from a guy like Jermaine Johnson. Jermaine Johnson is just one move Jimmy, and he's gone, right? And it's so weird because Jermaine will have these flashes, right? And even when you hear, people defend Jermaine, I'll ask them, okay, so what did you see on film? Whether it be media scout, whether it be, a big broadcasting scout, whether it be some Twitter scouts, they'll say the same. Oh, Jermaine's cool. He just kind of disappears from time to time. They can agree that Jermaine disappears from time to time. Okay, cool. He disappears. Okay, cool. He doesn't look good in pants, but he looked good in shorts. Okay, he ran around, did some good things at the combine. He did some good Senior Bowl things. If you watch the Senior Bowl footage, more of him running down the middle of people, which is fine, bull rushing. If he gets drafted by the Lions and he goes against like Bakhtiari or something, Bakhtiari not gonna let you just run down the middle of him. That's not what's gonna happen there, sir. But when I watch Jermaine Johnson, I just don't see a player, and I've seen mocks where he's like 6 overall, like 7, top 10 somewhere. I just don't see a player that's a top 10 player. I can name 10 guys that got film better than Jermaine Johnson. Not saying he's a bad player. I just think having him top 10 just because he's tested well athletically and he simply plays the edge rusher position, I just think it's kind of weird that he gets to be a top 10 guy when guys like Linderbaum and Jordan Davis and N'Kobe Dean got better film than him. That's all.
Well, it's interesting because half those guys are on Georgia. He had to transfer from Georgia to get any playing time, right?
He had to leave Georgia because he couldn't play. He had to leave Georgia, and now he up there with him. Now he's there getting drafted ahead of Jordan Davis. It's weird to me, man. I ain't gonna say nothing. It's not my business.
We need to talk about Jordan Davis's combine. That's one of the most. Do you think anybody will ever have a more insane, like per size combine than what Jordan Davis did? The only thing he could have did with them long arms is like bench press like 40 or something like that. Like that's the only thing I could think of that he could have done that would have been more ridiculous than what he did.
Jordan Davis's RAS athletic score was a perfect 10 out of 10. They don't even make them. They don't even make 10 out of 10s. He's the most athletic defensive lineman of all time, according to their metric. Like that dude is ridiculous. Now, to be fair, did he play like a 4.7? Did he run a 4.7 on the field? I don't think he did. But Jordan Davis is one of my, and he to be fair, he probably lost 20 pounds prepping for the combine, and he's probably more like a 5 flat 4.9 guy. But when you lose 20 pounds and actually prep for the combine, he had a great start. So I know you worked on just running the 40. You can pull out a 4.7 to be fair, but on tape, I'm more so concerned about how powerful he is and how he doesn't get moved around and how his punch just stops people, and how you need multiple blockers to block him, and how he's the best role player in his draft. I say role player, and role player sounds bad, but just imagine if that dude's playing one tech for you and like JOK just get to run around and just do what he wants and not get touched ever. Like that's what I mean by best role player. So he's tearing shit up from his own merit, but then he's helping the guys around him. Is what I'm saying. So for sure, Jordan Davis is one. And if he falls to Dallas, I'm going to jail somewhere. I'm hopping on some table. I'm taking off my shirt. I'm swinging around my head like a helicopter. You feel me?
We gonna look back at that Georgia team, like one of them, that defensive roster, be like, wow. This dudes that was like red shirt and that was like the 5th pick in their draft.
They got 3 linebackers, 4 D linemen, a safety, Lewis Senior. Fantastic. They got a corner, Darian Kendrick, used to play at Clemson. He's a cool player, but their best player ain't even draft eligible. They got a D lineman number 80, number 88 or something like that. He's coming out next year, and he better than all of them. So keep that factory going.
Good luck. But that's Vach. It's nice to have you on, Vach. Make sure y'all check out Vach not only on his channel but also with the volume. Look, Vach out here got me shouting out a Colin Cowherd tweet. That's how dope Vach is, man.
Hey, man, we just working. We're going to keep our head down for all content creators watching this. Hey, man, just keep grinding at this thing. We don't have to go mainstream. Mainstream will come to us. We'll keep doing what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like, I get to dress like this and do football talk with all this in the background. We don't have to talk sports and suits. This is the way you even see these big networks. They're getting YouTube channels. So, hey, man, it's a matter of time before, QC and the rest of your favorite YouTubers get there. So everybody just, hang tight. We got you. Don't worry about
it. Definitely. Always appreciate having you on. And who knows, man, maybe we're going to have you on to preview the Super Bowl. Browns versus Cowboys. It could happen. You know what I mean? It depends on if the Cowboys could get there, though. That's really the question.
All right, I'm leaving. I thought this was going somewhere humble. I thought we was gonna be friends for a minute. I'm leaving. Hey, I appreciate y'all for tuning in, man. Pete, watch my brother on Twitter. I'm gone.
All right, man.